going on, Edward? Edward's always in a public bathroom somewhere. They must think you're really crazy or weird or something that you like live in the bathroom. What's going on, John? Good morning or good afternoon. It feels like morning. I just cannot wake up today. This was the first time in weeks that I've slept in a little bit. I think I got up at like 9:30 today, which for me is really late. And I am just not running on energy. Coffee number 4 or 5. So I hope you guys are all doing fantastic. Thank you. A lot of you actually sent the texting the word YouTube to 35074 to add yourselves to the reminder list. So that was very helpful for me. I think there's like 15 or 16 of you on there now. So now that's enough to where I don't need to send it on the other through my cell phone. That's just a pain in the ass sending it through the cell phone. What's going on, Kevin? Afternoon, buddy. A lot of you guys are on that final countdown. Todd's not going to be able to make it. He shot me a text. He's out with the wife this afternoon. And funny enough, the topic and the subject that we're talking about is directly because of Todd. Todd sent me an email a couple days ago asking me if I would touch on this stuff during this video. So, yeah. I'll tell you what, I've been getting some hate mail. I'm not used to getting hate mail. I'm used to once in a while getting like, something silly or something kind of goofy, but wow, straight up hate mail. Like, I'm glad my address isn't posted out there. I feel like some of these crazy people would show up. Some crazy people out there. It's insane, guys. I keep looking at the wrong monitor because I've got it switched around today a little bit because it's so bright outside. I didn't want to blind you guys. So we'll give you guys a few more minutes to roll in. What do we got in the room right now? Looks like about 7. Edward's on that countdown. 104 until 1,000 RDAPers. Yeah, we're getting there. Closer and closer each day. Some of these videos are getting a lot more hits than others. I'm not sure, what dictates how that works. But hey, I'll take it. Keith, hello Dan, how's everyone? Happy Saturday. What's going on, Keith? Happy Saturday to you. What's up, Sean? Sean, what day do you turn yourself in? Is it next week? Or is it, I forgot the date. John, you're crazy. Yeah, it's just been silly. It's been like insane. Just the amount of, I just get these really, a lot of it off of Facebook. I'll get a lot of emails, like private messages through Facebook, and even some are from other guys that have done prison time or are with other organizations, not even prison consulting, just guys that are supposedly in the industry trying to help out, whether it be, helping out kids, helping out adults, helping out reentry. A lot of it is a lot more reentry, people, helping with housing and stuff coming out. And that's definitely, if you're in this for the money, that's probably where the money is, in those private type sectors where you can get grants and, vouchers for people that are getting out of prison that don't necessarily have anywhere to live. So you can get these vouchers that pay for them. So if you go rent a shitty house in the ghetto and you tell different prisons and different organizations that, hey, we're only using these houses for guys that are getting out of prison. So, a house with 5 or 6 bedrooms, you could probably get 10 to 15 guys in there, because a lot of these houses, they put, 2 or 3 guys into a bedroom and then kind of give them a little bit of their own private space. But it looks like straight up like ghetto drug trap houses. And it's pretty sad because they're getting money from the government, from the counties, from different organizations that pay for these guys to live in these houses. And it's usually like a couple $100s a week. So they really are making money off of this, but they're not putting any effort into the houses. There's an organization out here in Washington that asked me if I'd be interested in getting into it and looking at it. And at first I was like, yeah, that's a great service. You're providing housing for people. And I was like, this is great. And I would love to get into this. And I went and looked at them and I was like, really? This is like, and I wasn't mean or rude or anything because, hey, at least it's something and they're putting these people somewhere. But my probation officer even told me, he goes, look, we hate it when we come across these houses because a lot of these guys get right back into alcohol and drugs and, get back into gang violence and things because these houses almost promote it. They just look like straight up like what you would picture like a crack house looking like. That's what a lot of these houses look like. So it's sad. And that's out here in Spokane. So I'm sure it's everywhere. So I stick to what I'm doing. I don't want to get caught up in any of that craziness. Again, it's great to be able to make a living doing this, but the purpose of doing this isn't about the money. 3 days. Oh wow, 3 more days. So what's today? Today's Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So Tuesday you're surrendering, Sean? You must be getting pretty nervous. Or pretty anxious just to get it over with. I imagine there's a whole combination of emotion there. For those of you that might be new, make sure if you haven't already done so, go ahead and text the word YouTube to the phone number 35074, and that will add you to my subscriber list for when new videos are getting ready to come out. Again, it's the word YouTube, all one word, to the phone number 35074. You can see it up in the top left of your screen. Real simple stuff. Camp or medium? I seriously doubt you're going to a medium, man. Definitely with 11 points, you're not going to a medium. That's just not. I think what did we say it was? We had the numbers up here a couple weeks ago. I believe those points are camp or low. You should not be rolling into a medium. I do want to tell you guys something about that's a little bit scary before we jump into the topic today. So the whole designation process. So I had a client, his name is Harmon. He actually surrendered yesterday. Okay, so yesterday was his surrender date, and he was going to a prison in Arizona. So he flew out to Arizona, got there, not to the prison, but got to the hotel. Went out a day ahead. Was getting all ready. Him and his brother, just kind of relaxing, make sure he can surrender on time the next day, so no issues. So yesterday at about 9 o'clock in the morning, and he had to surrender by 2 p.m., he got a phone call from pretrial services saying, hey, your designation has changed. And I think they redesignated him to California. So he was supposed to turn himself in to a specific prison that he was already designated to in Arizona. And then last second, he got redesignated out of the blue, same day, said, hey, we can't take him here. We have no room. So I didn't get a chance to find out what happened. I'm assuming he must have self-surrendered into the U.S. Marshals instead, which means the whole transit, diesel therapy, what pretty much everybody in this room is trying to avoid. So these are some scary things. And on top of that, it's happened to 3 of my clients in the last couple of weeks. Now, the other 2 clients they didn't get notification the same day as their surrender, but they had already been given their location for designation. And then all of a sudden they got redesignated to a different place. One guy's pretty pissed off because, instead of being 30 minutes away from his house, now he's like 4 or 5 hours away from his house. So, you guys just got to be prepared for this. Something's going on right now with, I don't know if BOP has new staff that is just didn't designate properly, dropped the ball, not paying attention, something. But also there seem to be really backlogged on getting responses out. We've got a couple of clients that we're doing some redesignation for, and it seems like we should have gotten an answer by now, and we haven't even gotten a response or nothing. And seeing with what's going on over there out of Grand Prairie, it looks like somebody dropped the ball and they may be a little disorganized. And of course, they're not going to tell you that. But so if any of you are waiting for redesignation or you're waiting for an answer for Grand Prairie for like RDAP, just assume that it's going to take a little bit longer. If it doesn't, great, but put that out there. I know some of you that were doing some trying to help you get into RDAP because you didn't have substantial information in your PSR. We want to make sure that Grand Prairie got all of this information, And it's not like you can just call up and be like, hey, do you got my paperwork? It's like, that's why we send it certified, to make sure we know when they received it, when they signed for it, things like that. So I think that's pretty crazy. What's up, Coy? Coy is one of the guys we're talking about right now, actually. Coy is one of the guys that's waiting for potential redesignation to go to a prison with RDAP, because he's got everything in his PSR that qualifies one for RDAP, but he got designated to a prison that did not have RDAP. So these are things that sometimes are out of your guys' control, and we got to move as fast as possible. And getting these issues wrapped up in a timely manner, having less control over things is frustrating to you guys, I know, especially a lot of you that have been used to life, being able to control things with influencing, whether it be money or the gift of gab, and now to have like zero control, zero influence is frustrating. It's definitely a trial in patience. So in some ways, it's probably a good lesson for a lot of you, but at the same time, when it comes down to possibly screwing up your designation, I feel your frustration 100%. All right, so today's topic, requested by none other than Mr. Todd Hansen himself, who can't make it because he's out on a date. Going to prison and your dates are more important than spending time with RDAPdan. So selfish, Todd. Just kidding. Hope you have an amazing date when you watch this later. That was a joke. All right, so let me wake my sleepy ass up here and let's jump into some topics. Those of you that have questions, I'm actually setting up another little text campaign, and it's going to be just text the word topic. Don't do it right now because it's not set up, but it will be text the word topic to the same number, the 35074, and it would give you the opportunity to vote on different topics that we might want to discuss in the upcoming future. We're also going to go ahead with the tattoo idea that I had spoken about, where we are going to do an RDAPdan legit federal prison tattoo, and we're going to let you guys vote on that as well. So that's going to be another poll where it's going to be text the word tattoo to that same number, and it's going to give you the options of what the tattoos are going to be. So it's not available yet, so don't text it yet. Just letting you guys know it's coming. I watch your videos as informative and education advice for future reference. Right now I'm doing these kind of videos made me humble in a way to stay away from bad news. I appreciate that, man. That's really nice. And, you know, I do a lot of this for messages and comments just like that. I try to avoid the crazy ones where people want to find out where I live and kill me and murder me and shove things into holes where they shouldn't go. It's a message I got yesterday. I don't know why. Don't know why people really don't like me out there, but hey, bring it. All right, so let's jump into this. So Todd really wanted to focus on, as a lot of you are getting ready to go into prison, and there's a lot of concern, not just with your first day of prison, but really, you know, your first few days, your first few weeks. So I decided, let's just call it your first 30 days. So your first 30 days of prison, what are some things, some topics, some things that you should focus on, worry about, pay attention to? So we'll kind of jump into it here. First one is how to choose the right type of people to associate with. So obviously when you get to prison, you're going to meet people right away. I mean, that's prison, right? You're going to be integrated with everybody. Now, out of the total population, you're going to gravitate immediately to some kind of a similarity, whether it be skin color, whether it be accent, whether it be type of crime. Right away, within the first 24 hours, you're going to meet people that are going to approach you. They're going to ask you what your crime was. You go into as little or as much detail as you want. They're going to ask you, like, where are you from? You're going to find some interest there, right? So part of doing your prison time successfully and getting through it emotionally is making alliances, making friends, making, these intimate relationships that you're going to have in prison, and not intimate sexually. I'm talking about intimate, like people that you can confide in, who you're going to become friends with. These are going to become your very best friends for the next several months, several years, whatever it might be. So when picking these people, you have to keep in the back of your mind that you're going to want to cling and go to people almost immediately, just because you're going to be sensing that kinship. You're going to be sensing, you don't want to be alone. You want to pass the time. So immediately you'll meet some guys that you're going to play cards with. You meet some guys that you're going to go work out with. Now, once you decide these are the types of people you want to associate with, you've got to look for the qualities in these people that you want to see in yourself. So it's real important that you guys are focusing on what you struggle with right now. If you struggle on, let's say, awfulizing, and what do I mean by awfulizing? If you struggle on always finding the negative in everything. Oh, this isn't fair. I'm going to prison. I'm not that bad of a guy. The judge is going too hard on me. My attorney sucks. The prosecutor hates me. Why are they sending me to prison for marijuana? It's going to be legal in another couple of years everywhere anyway. Blah, blah, blah. All these sad bullshit, negative, teary-eyed stories. If you know you're that type of a person, and that might be the type of person you automatically gravitate towards in prison, you're not doing yourself any favors if this is the type of person that you're going to be spending your time with. Because any time you decide to have a little breakdown where you don't catch it in time, guess what? That person's going to feed right into it, and they're going to throw wood and coal and gasoline right on your fire, and you're going to be living your entire federal prison experience just thinking how unfair this is. So it's important that you look for the qualities that you want. So if you know you're the type of person that does that, you want to surround yourself with people that do the opposite, that are positive, upbeat, that almost shut it down. And when I say shut it down, you'll see people in prison that when they start to get negative, there's somebody there that challenges them on that negativity. And usually what happens when they challenge them on that negativity, the negative person runs and scurries to other negative people. They don't want to deal with it. They don't want to hear the reality of, hey man, your life sucks because you're letting your life suck. Yeah, you're in prison, so are we. But you have to be able to fight through that. So the best way to do that is surround yourself with people that are thinking like that. So I don't want to say surround yourself around like-minded people, because your mind right now might not be that. You might want it to be that. So you got to make sure that you're being extra careful on who you're deciding to be friends with. Because once you link up into these friendships and you start hanging out with these people on a regular basis, if all of a sudden you realize that, hey, this is an unhealthy relationship for me, now you got to find a way to get out of the relationship. It's like breaking up. These are people you see every day. Like, hey, how come we're not hanging out no more? You're too fucking negative. You don't want to have that conversation if you don't have to. And it might be okay for you to say, hey, you're kind of funky all the time. I think you need to work on that. But it's not your place to fix everybody, right? And these might be people that aren't even in RDAP yet. And you might not be in RDAP. So you're not going to walk around fixing people that are not in RDAP. You just don't need to put yourself in an environment where it's going to be a funky negative energy. So you want to kind of pace your time and look for the people that have influence, that have respect in there, that give respect, that are doing the right thing. They're going to the library. They're going to work. They're working out. They're joking around in a good light. They're staying away from shady shit. They're not always negative. They're finding the positives in things. They're going to maybe they're going to NA and AA on a regular basis. Even if you don't have a strong alcohol or drug addiction, I'm telling you, going to these other men's groups, Bible studies, NAs, AAs, Gambling Anonymous, all of these different groups, the one thing they all have in common is a open discussion kinship where you're in a safe zone to where you can talk and feel, for the most part, feel comfortable about whatever it is you want to talk about. And you'll notice that the common denominator in there is it's all based on positivity and doing the right thing, even when it's hard. So surrounding yourself by those people sounds easy, but it's harder than it sounds if you're not already that type of person. Okay? So that's one thing. Which people do you want to kind of stay away from? It's pretty much the same topic. And these are questions that Todd had that I'm answering in the video. So Todd wants, Todd's worried that he has the I want to make everybody like me. I want to always have the right advice. If somebody needs something, I want to be able to be the one to provide it. That's why when Todd and I first started working together, Todd was like, if you have any clients that need anything, send them to me. And I wasn't really thinking about that at first. And I was like, yeah, so clients, have questions. I send them to Todd. And initially what I learned was it was more for Todd to make himself feel better. Not so much as, he loves helping people, but really he gets off on that power. He gets off on being able to provide somebody with something, which so many of us do. How many of you guys have gone through your life where you heard somebody make a statement like, oh, I wish I knew somebody that could do a mortgage for me. You're like, oh, I know a guy that knows a guy. I'll get it hooked up for you. And then you put yourself on the hook, and then you're like, fuck. I want to help somebody, but I really don't want to spend my entire day or my entire week or, this isn't, I wish I hadn't volunteered. How many of you volunteer for things that you later on regret? You take on more than you can chew. You tend to go down this road of you always want to have the answer for somebody. If you know that's how you are, you got to fight it. You got to fight. Because that can become an issue in prison. Because once you open that floodgate and you start being the guy that's got the answers and the guy that knows somebody that can get something done or the guy that knows somebody on the street that can make this happen, people just start to come to you. And before you're like, man, how do I turn this off? Once you open that floodgate, it's real hard. And I had that issue. I've got a background of mortgages, real estate, credit repair, things like that. So I started kind of gloating about that in prison a little bit with people that were talking about, oh, when I get out, I'm going to fix my credit, or when I get out, I'm going to start a credit repair business. And I'm like, oh, I've done both of those. I had a successful credit repair business. I can fix your credit. Did I like helping people with their credit? Yeah, sure. It gave me something to do. But did I like every time I was out on the yard, just random strangers would come up to me and be like, hey, you're the credit guy. I need help and this and that. Here's my credit report. And it's like, I'm kind of just walking, listening to music, oh, when you got time, let me know. And it's like they're constantly there. You can't get away from them. It's not like you can just go home. You live on the same compound. So once you start to become somebody like that, it doesn't go away. So through my entire prison sentence, I was the credit guy, which was great in some ways, but sometimes I just wanted to be by myself, and it's hard to get that alone time. So be careful how fast you put all your information out there. And if you're helping somebody and you're offering somebody something that can help them, think about why you're doing it. What's the real motivation? Is it to make you feel better, or you really want to help somebody? And you got to find that balance to where you can be satisfied with the way that it goes. What should you do if you find yourself choosing a friend that was wrong? So if you have a friend that you made friends with and you realize later on down the road that, like, man, I really don't like this guy, or I don't get along with him, or now that I've met other people, I don't know why I clung to this guy so fast. Maybe it was because he was one of the first people that approached you and you just caught yourself hanging out with him on a regular basis. Now you catch yourself wanting to go a different direction and you're kind of stuck in this relationship. How do you get out of that relationship without making it weird? Sometimes you can just fizzle it out and start doing other things and they'll get the picture. Some guys literally will come up to your cell and be like, hey man, what's going on? And we don't ever hang out no more. We don't walk the yard. It's like they get a little offended. So that conversation may have to be had where you might have to tell somebody, hey, I liked hanging out with you, but you're always either, whether it be they're always negative or you're always up to something shady. You're always looking for tobacco. You're always gambling. You got to tell them, say, look, I've got no problem with you doing that. That's what you want to do, but I just don't want to do my time like that because when I get out of prison, I don't want to have that type of mentality. So I'm not judging you or anything, but I just don't think it's a healthy relationship for me. And you got to hope that person can respect that, because just because you stated that doesn't, you can't control how they're going to respond. That's why it's so important initially when you start your selective friend process, who you're going to be spending your time with. The more vetting you do and the more research and the more effort you spend getting to know people and finding out what their character flaws are and if it's something that you can put up with or not, it's really going to help your whole total experience with how your first 30, 60, 90 days is going to go into prison. The first 30 days is going to be the feel out period. 60, 90, and from there on, you're probably going to have formed and forged some friendships that unless they get transferred to another prison or you get transferred, for the most part, those will be friendships that will carry you through your sentence that are going to help you do your time. So you don't want to be stuck with people that you don't want to spend time with because that can be awkward and aggravating. We've all got that, that friend that's within the circle that it's like, I hope he doesn't come out tonight because he's annoying, or he doesn't realize how annoying he is, and we don't want to be mean to him. You don't want to be stuck in that relationship, because then other people aren't going to want to associate with you because they're afraid that guy's going to be around. It happens. I've seen it happen. It's happened to me. So you got to be real aware of your pickiness. Be really picky. Really, really picky, Nick. More picky than you are right now, for sure. What other questions does Todd have here? How to settle differences with others without getting into trouble. So what are some differences that you may have? Differences. It's such a wide variety of topic. Most of you guys, I imagine your differences aren't going to be, violent nature differences, but things can get heated real fast. Somebody could say something about you behind your back, and, let's say some of you got a 5K1 and, you think you're friends with somebody. You think you're okay with whoever, Bob, and you and Bob are hanging out. And then some other guys that you're kind of cool with, you're playing basketball with, and they're like, hey, man, you should probably be careful what you say around Bob. You're like, what are you talking about? Oh, Bob's just, what are you talking about? What'd Bob say? Oh, he's just saying how you're a rat and you snitched on people and you got a 5K1. And I get it. You're at a camp or a low. And, it's just, I know you're friends with him and stuff. And he's just, I think it's weird that he's talking behind your back like that. And, we're not about that. If you're going to say something, say it to someone's face. Why run your mouth behind their back? So now it puts you in a little bit of a weird situation because, you're friends with Bob and Bob's out there running his mouth on the compound saying, you're a snitch, or, you did this, or whatever it is that he's talking about that you're surprised. You're like, wow, why would this guy go say these things? I thought we were cool. So you have to have that conversation with Bob. You have to do it. You can't avoid it. You can, but it just looks weird because he's out there saying it to other people. And the best way to end that is you just, go on your normal walk with Bob like you normally would and be like, hey man, are we cool? And more than likely, Bob's going to be like to your face, like, yeah, of course. Why would you say that? I was out playing ball. It doesn't matter who, but there's just some rumors going around that you're telling people my 5K1 and I'm a snitch and just stuff like that. Chances are Bob's gonna be like, no man, I didn't say that. It wasn't like that at all. Say, look man, just whatever the situation is, the best way to avoid it is just don't bring my name up when I'm not around. If someone says something about me, because chances are Bob's gonna blame it on somebody else. Bob's going to go, oh, well, so-and-so was saying this, and I was trying to defend you. Look, next time somebody says something about me, the best thing you can do is say, hey, you know what? Let's go get Dan, and let's have this conversation with the three of us so there's no misunderstanding. That's the best way, and chances are Bob's not going to want to do that. He's going to be like, yeah, don't worry about it, man. I'll make sure. And you can really kill it that easy, just with assertive communication. You don't need to be aggressive. You don't need to run up on Bob and be like, yo, I heard you're talking shit, Bob. You want to take it to the bathrooms, Bob? I got my sneakers on, Bob. I got my lock in a sock, Bob. You don't need to get all violent. You just got to be assertive. And people are not used to assertive. They confuse assertive communication with confrontation. People, for some reason, tend to imagine confrontations are always bad. I don't like confrontation. Well, nobody likes confrontation, but confrontation is needed in order to communicate properly. Bob, I have a question for you. There's some guys out in the yard talking. It doesn't matter. I don't need you to defend yourself. I don't need to hear your story, but just do me a favor. If I'm not present and my name comes up, don't be the one to say anything back, because that's how rumors get started, man. And rumors in prison are like, you can't live in prison without them. But the best thing you can do is just nip it in the bud the minute you hear something happening. So if you're having an altercation with somebody and you feel like there's some animosity growing there's some resentment growing there, don't let it grow out of control. Go deal with it immediately. And you can do it in an open setting so you don't have to worry about violence. Chances are none of you guys are going to be going around hanging out with other violent people. But you will be hanging out with people that talk shit, run their mouth, and do gossip. I promise you, every single one of you is going to experience that. Maybe on both sides. You might be the one doing the gossip, and you might be the one getting gossiped about. So that comes back to picking your friends. If you catch somebody that's constantly talking bad about other people, like, oh, watch out for that guy. That guy's a snitch and that guy does this. Stay away from that guy, because he's probably going to do the same thing about you behind your back. So don't allow your comfort zone to control who your friends are going to be. Make sense? All right, moving right along. Todd's on a date. He's having date night with Diana. Okay. So how to avoid some common prison hustles or cons or scams or whatever you want to call it. And you're not going to have a big issue with this. I just wanted to talk about it because Todd put it into his list of questions. There will be a lot of prison hustles, and it shouldn't be hard for you to avoid them. But a lot of the prison hustles are just going to be in camps. Will probably be cell phones. There'll be a lot of hustles with food coming out of the chow halls. Somebody might, like, you can literally go on contracts. You can hire you'll find out whoever sells the milk on the compound, right? Because milk, you're only supposed to have it in the cafeteria with your meals. They give you little cartons of milk or juice or whatever. So, but a lot of guys love milk. They drink it on a regular basis. They want to keep it in their locker. They want to put it on ice, and they want to buy milk from the milkman. And usually milks are like anywhere from like 25 to 50 cents, a stamp or two, however you want to pay for it. So usually what guys will say is like, all right, how many milks are you going to want a week? How many milks do you want a month? We'll put you on a contract. I'll provide you with milk, and you just pay me monthly or weekly. Well, that's a prison hustle. And it can get you in trouble. You can get caught with all of these milks because, chances are if you want 30 milks, he's not just going to give you 30 milks at once. You might only be able to drink 2 or 3 milks a day. So you're going to tell him, hey, I want a couple of milks every day. So now you're prepaying for this service. And what if something happens? He gets caught. He gets taken to the shoe. He just gets kicked out of the kitchen, can't provide. You've already paid him. You got to hope he can refund your money, or he can set you up with another person that can fulfill the contract. It just potentially opens the door for a lot of issues that can create the negative kind of confrontation that you want to avoid. You don't want to have to be in a position where you're like, hey, you owe me something. I need you to pay me. Because the chances are he doesn't just owe you. You probably weren't his only contract. So now he's trying to figure out how to pay everybody. And guess who he's going to pay first? He's going to pay the people first that he feels could threaten him, that could potentially cause him an issue. Guess who he's going to pay last? He's going to pay last the guy that he thinks isn't going to do anything about it. So you've got to be real careful about situations you put yourself in and what you're willing to do or not willing to do if shit goes south. So I say avoid that type of situation altogether, 100%. Stay away from purchasing things like that. If you're not willing to steal your own milk out of the chow hall, don't buy it off somebody else. Don't. Or, if you are going to be the guy that has to buy milk, buy it as you need it. Be like, hey, here's a couple stamps. I need 2 milks. Get the milks, pay a little bit more for them or something like that, and just get them. And I'm not advocating buying milk, but I know some of you are going to do it. Some of you are going to buy eggs. Some of you are going to buy chicken bombs. Beef bombs, that's usually just a bag of chicken or beef that's like shredded up or chopped up, and it just comes in like bags. And people sneak it out. You'll get your chicken. You'll use it to make your chicken salad. You might use it to make chicken sandwiches. Late at night, you're trying to eat high protein diets. A lot of you are going to get serious about working out, so you're really trying to feed your protein, and maybe you want a lot of chicken. I was in RDAP, so I avoided this stuff like the plague because the RDAP I was in was super strict, so I didn't want to really mess with any of that. But I used to see guys that were buying $15, $20 chicken bombs and buying hard-boiled eggs. Like left and right, they'd have, eggs, they'd have their chicken, they'd have, all different kinds of protein and veggies, and, they were eating great. But they weren't an RDAP. RDAP, you're definitely, someone else is going to tell on you an RDAP. You can almost be guaranteed another inmate will say, hey, he's got a bunch of chicken in his locker. Now, some RDAPs are not run as strict as the one I was at, and they may not even really care too much. What's going on, Joe? Welcome, Joe Dirt. So, now, if you're not an RDAP, guys, you're gonna have to find a way to be able to do your time right. And it's one thing to say just stay away from all prison hustles and to stay away from all scams and stay away from everything like that. It's easier said than done because most people that are not in RDAP, even the ones that are some of the I've met some really good people in prison that had little side hustles going on. That just did. They wanted, eating food is a big deal. Having good food is a big deal in prison. So there's going to be times where if you're not an RDAP, you are going to go buy something that you're not supposed to buy. Not drugs or alcohol, but you're going to go buy, some of these guys steal stuff out of the kitchen, like, the fruits and the different ingredients, and then they take it back to their units and they make these amazing, like apple turnovers, and they make these little pizza pockets, and just crazy stuff that they'll be they'll go out in the compound later on, like after dinner. They'll bring out their little travel bag with them. Looks like a little gym bag that you use to carry stuff in, and they just got it loaded up with little juice cups filled with like these little desserts, little cheesecakes, peanut butter desserts. And some of you that have sweet teeth, a giant sweet tooth, you're like, oh, I want one, and they're only 50 cents or $1. So you're gonna go buy that stuff, and don't think you're this horrible person because you can't say no to that stuff. These aren't the kind of things that are going to get you kicked out of a camp or get you in big trouble. 99% of the time, if a guard catches you with a snack that you're not supposed to have, they're just going to throw it away. They're not going to be like, oh my God, violation, we're sending you to the pen. Now, in RDAP, it can cause other problems because they're going to say, look, it's not about you having the snack. It's more about the decision you made, thinking it was okay to have the snack when you're in RDAP and it's that much more important. So in RDAP, just don't fuck with any of that stuff. If you're not in RDAP, I'm telling you to pick and choose your battles. Look at if you're willing to live, if you can look at the consequence, the potential consequence, and say, I can live with that. Okay. You can live with it. Go ahead and go for it. There were certain things that I was willing to do in prison, and there were certain things that I was willing not to do in prison. I would focus on the consequence. Okay? Like, for example, I had, it was about the size of this folder, maybe a little bit bigger, about this big. And it was a big sheet of Formica, like countertop. And I used to use it for multiple things. I'd use it for a cutting board. I would use it to write on. I would use it as like a clipboard. Late at night when I'd write my letters, I'd bring it up into my bunk and I'd write on it. I would use it for, you name it. I wasn't supposed to have it. It was not going to be considered as a weapon. It was a big square. It's not really much you can do with that, but it was technically contraband. And I used to just stick it in my locker long ways and just hope that they never found it. Other things you're not supposed to do, like once you finish your peanut butter, you've got the peanut butter jars, you finish your peanut butter, you clean it out, soap and water, and you use it to maybe hold your coffee in there, or sugar or cream, or you use it to put your pens in. You find items off commissary that serve different purposes, and you're not supposed to do that. If they ever do shakedowns, a lot of the time they'll come through your locker and they'll throw that stuff away, and whatever's in it you lose. So I would have to say to myself, all right, the potential consequence is they're going to throw it away and I might lose a whole bag of coffee because it was in my peanut butter jar. But what you'll find is, like, let's say you like pickles, right? When you buy the pickles off commissary, it's in a bag. It's one giant pickle. It's about that big around. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm not like going to go eat a pickle in one sitting. I would chop up the pickle and make almost like a relish out of it. I would use it in chicken salad. I would use it in salsas. I would mix it with different things. So now you've got a bag that it's in. It's not a Ziploc bag. It's a bag you have to cut open. So now it's like, how do you maintain your pickle? Well, I would use a peanut butter jar, dump it into a peanut butter jar and seal it up. That was my pickle jar. There's times where they do shakedowns and I'd lose my pickle or my jalapenos or whatever it was. These are things that I was okay with losing. I wasn't the end of the world for me. I was like, it's not that big of a deal. I can suffer it. So every decision you make, once you start focusing on what the consequence could be, and you're okay with that consequence, then yeah. Now, if you're looking at drugs, alcohol, things that you're not allowed to have, like that are big no-nos, and you're not thinking about those consequences, if you're not willing to get kicked out of that prison and go to a higher security, if you're not willing to get removed from RDAP, if you're not willing to go get in a fight, then you have to really think about these things, because that will be the potential consequences of some more serious type issues. So really focus on your audience, know your role, know what you're trying to do. It's super, super important. Can you have a fridge in federal? Is ice easy to come by? No fridge. You can't have a fridge in federal prison. Usually there's an ice machine where you can go get your ice. So what we used to do, Thursday was a commissary day. It wasn't always my commissary day, but Thursday was someone's commissary day. I usually wanted a ice cream for the Friday night movie, but there's no commissary on Friday. So commissary was Thursday. So usually what I would do is I would buy an ice cream, or I'd have somebody else buy me an ice cream if I didn't have commissary. I would go get ice out of the ice machine. I would fill it up either in a bucket or a bag. I usually maybe put it into like into a garbage bag, and I would insulate. Once it was in the garbage bag, I'd insulate the garbage bag real tight with towels. And if you mix some salt in with your ice while your ice is in the bag, it gets really cold and it stays colder at a much higher temperature for a longer period of time. And if you insulate it really well and then bury your ice cream or whatever else, your cheesecake, whatever else, your sodas, what you might try to keep cold, and you hide that under your bed and just realize if they find it, they're going to throw it away and they're going to throw away whatever is in it. So, I would do that Thursday. I would put it way under the bottom of my bunk, behind my shoes or whatever, and that's how I'd keep my ice cream super cold until the next night. And it was almost just as cold as if it was in like a legitimate freezer. But you can't keep things, there's no refrigerator for you to store your things. That's why when you get milks, you probably only want 2 or 3 at a time because they're going to go bad if you keep more than that sitting in your locker. How do you keep Ice Team iced? Yeah, I spent 7 months in county and have been... Yeah, I know. Been talking to you on the phone a little bit there, Chris. I know you're anxious to find out what's going to happen here Monday. Chris might get remanded Monday, and we're hoping not. We're hoping that that they can see that he's been doing what he's supposed to be doing and let him remain out. A lot of pens have minimum security camps. Yeah, it's not the pen. It's just when you guys look up the prisons online, the BOP is just lazy. A lot of times, like when I got my paperwork to self-surrender, it said I was surrendering to the medium. I didn't surrender to the medium. That's just the standard paperwork they send out. So don't necessarily go by what you received in the mail or what you were told. There's a good chance most of you know that you're going to a camp or a low. So, who else is surrendering within the next 30 days? That's crazy. I've got so many people right now. We're going to see this channel dwindle down here in the next couple of weeks because a lot of you are taking your vacation, your journey, your experience. I need to wake up. I just can't. My daughters will be here soon. A couple more weeks. They go on summer vacation, and at least I know my younger daughter will definitely be here. My older daughter's got the boyfriend and trying to figure out what's going on there, and so I'm gonna have to throw down with her boyfriend and see who can win here. No, I'm just kidding. I remember what it was like to be 17. You got your girlfriend. It's like her first real boyfriend, her first love. So I imagine, he might be going away to college next year, so she's looking to spend as much time with him as possible before he takes off. So I might only get to see her for a minute for the summer, or I might not even get to see her at all, which would suck. But, kids are going to be kids. I can't take it personally. Little bastards. You can definitely buy earplugs on commissary. And usually, not only can you buy earplugs on commissary, the ones that you buy in commissary usually kind of suck. But the different departments around the prison, like facilities, whatever it is, electronic, whatever departments are there, they usually have really good earplugs that they just have bags and bags of them. So if you meet somebody that works in facilities, you can say, "Hey man, can you snag me a pair of earplugs?" And they bring you. Oh man, I'm telling you, they're made out of this awesome foam, and you twist them up to where they're real thin, and you stick it right in your ear. Honestly, sounds kind of gross, right? Because your ears are dry. It's dry, so it doesn't really go right in. So I don't know if you guys think this is gross. I would twist it up small, and then I would lick it, put it in my mouth, and lick it, and it would whoop, right into your ear, and then it would expand in your ear, and you can't hear a fucking thing. So late at night, if you've got a volcano next to you of some guy that just snores like he's cutting down trees all night long. And when I say snoring, guys, oh my God. I've heard some of the worst snoring in my entire life in prison. And it doesn't matter if they're right next to you or if they're 10 bunks down. In these dorms, you just hear it. And your best bet is to fall asleep before them. If they start snoring before you fall asleep, sometimes it's hard to put that out of your mind. It can cause a late night. And but earplugs are amazing. Or if you have your music, you download a couple songs, or you find an FM radio station. Like I used to listen to Delilah. That was like one of the only FM stations that I could get from my bunk area, and I would listen to Delilah's love stories until I would fall asleep. I would set a timer on my MP3 player to shut off in like 30 or 45 minutes, and that usually would block out the background noise just long enough to shut me down. So yeah, let's see what other questions you got here. Yeah, Kevin, we were just talking about the redesignation. I was actually, I don't know if you were on yet when I brought that up, but you were my third client in the last week and a half that got redesignated after he's been designated, and not for a good reason. Not like, oh, we're making sure you go to the right prison with RDAP. It's like just redesignate to do it for no apparent reason. So I don't know. I've never seen that before. This is the first time I've seen that. So it does not seem to be super common. I think there's an issue down in Grand Prairie right now where maybe they got some new people working that don't really know what they're doing. Guys, real quick, take an RDAPdan timeout. If you have not already sent a text, send the word YouTube to 35074, which you see in the top left of the screen. It's real simple. Just type the word YouTube into the body of the text, and where the phone number goes, just put 35074. Send that. It will make sure you get notification of the upcoming videos. I'm no longer sending the text message through my cell phone. It's only going through the text message service because my cell phone only lets me do 15 or something like that per text, or 20 people per text. I could do 20 million through the text service. So text the word YouTube, all one word, to the phone number 35074. A lot of you did it last video. It was amazing. We went from 6 to like 16 or 17. So, let's just keep that number growing. Appreciate you guys. But yeah, snoring was an issue for me for sure. I don't snore. At least I don't think I snore. No one ever told me I snore. I breathe loud. I'm a mouth breather. But a lot of these guys, it's usually a lot of the heavier guys, and they will snore. There was one guy, I can't remember his name, but he used to sleep in the cube right next to me, below me, and he was just this big, giant white dude that he would tell me though, hey man, if I'm snoring, throw something at me. And I'd throw stuff at him. I'd come down, slap him on his bunk, and he would stop for a minute. And I could only hope and pray that he would stop long enough to allow me to fall asleep to where I didn't hear it. Because once I'm asleep, I'm asleep. So yeah, get your earplugs, get your music, get some decent headphones. They've got some pretty badass headphones you can buy. They've got the little regular ones that come with it. Then they've got the big, the big over-the-head ones with the big earmuffs on there that sound that block out every sound. Those might be hard to sleep with because they're on your ears. Some guys would turn these radios, they would adjust the amplifiers and make it to where instead of it being earphones, they're like speakers. And these things are loud. You would hear it through the whole unit. And sometimes real late at night or right at bedtime, you would hear it and it'd be like, man, I wish this guy would turn his fucking music off because it's great. He put your headphones on. The whole unit doesn't want to listen to your music. And sometimes it's not the most desirable kind of music. It's just maybe music that you hate that's just on blast and he fell asleep. So it's like now you have to go find which bunk it's coming out of because it echoes through the whole place. So it's kind of hard to tell. So be considerate of others. Don't do things that are going to be really loud. If you got a celly or a bunkie or whatever it is and you're going to be reading at night, make sure your book light's not going to bother him. Those book lights that they sell, they're LED lights and they're bright. So make sure you have it because it bends. It's on like a little, it clips onto your book and then it's got a flexible tip so you can shine it right onto your book. It runs off of like a AA or a AAA battery. Yeah, those of you that want to write each other and pen pal, and those of you that aren't going to prison that want to maintain support and stuff, you guys all have the ability to stay in touch with each other. There's email, there's mailing. Hopefully all of you, when you get there, you'll add me to your core link. So if you need anything, if you're trying to get a hold of somebody, if you want to update the community to what's going on. After this, at 3 o'clock today, so I got to wrap this video up here in probably the next few minutes. Because in about an hour from now, I'm going to meet with the guy that's doing my website. And as a lot of you know, if you've been to my website, rdapdan.com, it doesn't look right now. I changed website developers, and the guy that had my website was not happy that I did it, and I don't know what he did, but all of my content went down, and he swears to God it's not him. But 1 week after I told him I was no longer using him, and all of a sudden now certain things I can't get back. It just looks like mumbo jumbo on a lot of the pages. So that's all getting updated right now. So I apologize for those of you that have been trying to use my website for especially for if you're looking for like RDAP information, RDAP facilities. If you're looking at the guideline table for the BOP table, a lot of that stuff is down right now. So I'm working overtime to get it back up, and it's like a fucking small fortune. Yeah, that's what happens though, and it was my fault. I didn't take enough interest now with this guy. Every change that we have, I make him email me I don't even know what it's called. It's like a backup through the back end of what do I use? I forgot what I use, but whatever it is, it gets backed up now automatically, and I get a copy of the backup. So WordPress, if it ever goes down for whatever reason, or this guy disappears, I can go to anybody and say, here's a backup, make my website, make it look pretty. Make it look pretty. I like a pretty website. I still got that surprise coming for you guys. It's going to be, I told you guys I got a surprise, something I did here, and it might piss somebody off. It's not going to piss anybody in this room off. It's not going to piss any of my clients off, but it might piss somebody on YouTube off. There is a YouTuber that might not be happy with what I did, but business is business. Pleasure is pleasure. And it's what we do, right? It's human nature. Human nature to make strategic moves. That's all we're going to say about that right now. All right, so hopefully you guys found this video informative. I know I spoke to a couple of my clients over the phone, and they're really happy when I don't make the 2-hour videos so they can watch it after the fact, and they don't want to watch 2 hours worth of, sometimes, we just get off on subject. But today, I feel like we kind of stuck around and kept it on the right topic, kept it pretty prison related, talked about, some issues in prison, snoring. Snoring it's a legitimate issue. Some people can't deal with snorers. That's another thing. When you decide if you're going to be cellies with somebody, you're like, hey, this guy's great. He's fun to work out with. He's funny. What are his sleep patterns? What does his cell look like? Is he clean? Is he messy? Is he dirty? Does he stink? Does he shower regular? That's a big thing. If you and I were cellies, we were both showering daily. And if we were working out multiple times, we were showering multiple times. There's no putting stinky shoes with your socks all wet, shoved up in your shoes. I'm telling you guys, when you get inside, take your shoes off, take your socks off, go put your socks in dirty laundry. Don't make somebody else have to live in your filth. If you're not a clean person, not everybody is. Not everybody's super clean. It's like it's something missing in their brain where they don't think about it. And if that's you, if like your mom is telling you, or your wife or your girlfriend or somebody's been telling you, man, you are so fucking messy, you need to clean up after yourself, it's going to be an issue for you in prison, because most other cellies are not cool with that. They are not cool with slobs. And if your bed's never made, you're shit all over your bed all the time, it's like, don't live like that, because you have other people that you have to be considerate of. So keep your area clean. And if your cellie is not keeping his area clean, say something to him. you have to live there. That affects your emotional state of mind. If you're in a bad mood and the area is a fucking mess, because you guys are going to have a common table that you're going to share that's going to be in your little cell. If he's got all his shit on there and you can't even ever use it, it's like, why is that your cellie? You got to deal with these things. So you want to know as much about somebody before you decide to live with them. Keith is over there trying to plot and plan what I'm talking about. All right, so what else here? Upcoming stuff. We've got we're going to do, look, I want a tattoo. Point blank. I want one. I've got a good friend of mine just got one, and I'm like, I really want a fucking tattoo. I used to think about, is this something I can live with for the rest of my life? And it's like, yes, I'm pretty confident in my decision-making skills that whatever tattoo I decide to choose, I'm pretty sure I will be okay with that for the rest of my life. I'm not going to live forever, right? So I'm going to get a tattoo. I'm going to have it ironed down to, 5 to 10 ideas. We're gonna take a YouTube poll on which tattoo RDAPdan should get. It's going to be an authentic prison-style tattoo. It's not going to look like, you won't be able to tell it was a prison tattoo when it's done, but the authenticity of it will be made with a legit prison tattoo gun. It will be made by somebody that spent time in prison, that has done tattoos in prison. So we're going to make the gun on YouTube. We're going to go through the whole process. We're going to show you how it's made. And look, I'm not promoting getting tattoos. I want a tattoo, and I thought it would be a cool subject to share with you guys. So I'm going to do it. I know a lot of you think it's the wrong content for my channel, but it's something I want to do, and I want to share it with you guys since, you guys seem to be pretty interested in, a lot of these topics and what we're talking about and, what I do on a day-to-day. So that will be one of the things that we do. So I hope you guys have fun with that. Keep in the back of your mind, if you haven't already texted the word YouTube to 35074, 35074, the word YouTube. The word YouTube is one word. And just text it to phone number 35074. If you haven't already done that, do it right now. It will help me keep you guys updated to what's going on. All right? All right. Well, I hope you guys have an awesome weekend. I got to get rolling here. I have to go meet somebody in an hour. If you guys need anything, you can call me, text me. My phone number is on the screen, 509-434-4695. If you need anything, you can email me, rdapdan@gmail.com. Check me out on Facebook. I should have that linked on here too. I've got all this ability to put stuff right on the screen while I'm talking to you, and I'm so fucking lazy that I haven't done it. But I think it's in the description of this video, right? So Facebook. Okay, here it is. Those of you that have not added me on Facebook yet, this is my personal Facebook. This isn't just my RDAPdan Facebook page. This is my actual Facebook that I use for everything. Also RDAP stuff, but I post, whatever, pictures of my kids, pictures of my dogs, pictures of my cats. So if you guys want to add me on Facebook, go ahead and add me. Keep tabs on what RDAPdan is doing on the day-to-day. Hope you guys have an awesome weekend. Go do something nice for somebody. What did Bob Hope used to say? Make sure you neuter your pet, neuter your pets. Gotta love that stuff. So, all right, guys, have an awesome weekend. I'm out of here. RDAPdan, like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. Until next time, you guys have an amazing weekend. I will see you all on Monday. Peace.